In 1970, Norma McCorvey, better known as Jane Roe, filed a suit challenging the Texas law banning abortion, appealing it up to the Supreme Court. On January 22, 1973, after 2 years of arguments, the Supreme Court ruled on Roe v. Wade, overturning 50 state laws and legalizing abortion in the United States. One year later, on the anniversary of the decision, a group of pro-lifers refused to let the day pass in anonymity and instead took to the streets of Washington, marching on the Capitol to lend a voice to the voiceless. What was supposed to be a one-time event grew into an annual rally. That first March for Life in 1974 attracted 20,000 people. This year, for the 42nd annual March for Life, more than 500,000 people came out. Some were mothers and fathers who had lost a baby to abortion. Others had friends who still suffered from the loss of their child, or were devoutly religious, or simply believed in the innate value of life. And an inspiring number of them were kids, teenagers, and young adults who came with their families, their schools, or their youth groups. They marched through the streets of Washington, D.C., right up to the steps of the Supreme Court, proclaiming, "We are the pro-life generation."
We love babies, yes we do. We love babies. How about you?
All right, I'm Angie.
I'm Sandy.
I've been attending youth for 3 years. So every year that March for Life comes around, Kenny always tells us about it and shows us videos of the march. This is my first one.
It's my third time going. I love it. It's a great experience to see how many young people and even old people who come out to represent what a life really means. Once it's conceived, it becomes a human. And to get rid of something like that is getting rid of pieces, throwing food out. It's basically wasting it. It's wasting life. And people are dying every day. You need to replenish life.
My name is Joanne Fusaro. I'm the youth minister for St. Francis Cabrini. The wonderful thing about today is that our youth said, "Are we doing that again?" It was fun. And that was exciting because, you try as a youth minister to teach them, but then when it comes from them that they want to have this voice, it was just really exciting. So it really came together very easily because we knew who wanted to be on the trip to go down and have that experience again. And actually they brought some extra friends with them. So they went out and grabbed some of their friends and said, "You have to do this."
I always felt that if I went, I would have nobody to walk with. And I'm very shy. So I feel like it's going to be a great experience for me, to walk with her because she knows everything that's going on. And she's my best friend. So on top of it all, I'm walking with my best friend.
I'm glad she's finally coming. It's a great experience, and I'm sure she's gonna want to go back once she goes, because it makes you realize that no matter how much you struggle, once you see those babies, it's there is no way you can give up a child like that. It's hurting just to see it, let alone actually doing it yourself.
In today's day and age, we live in a society where they make fashionable what is so against a lot of the things that we believe in, and to have these youth that want to stand up for life and that abortion is wrong and that there are better decisions as far as bringing a child into this world, it's exciting. And we had some of the kids make posters for us that we'll be carrying. You'll see them later, and just to see the thoughts that came out from them. One poster says, "We are the voice for the voiceless." Another drew a businessman reaching down and shaking the hand of a child in the womb and saying they are the future. So when you see things like that, it really tugs at your heart. It's exciting. I'm happy that they want to have this voice, and so and I want to be an advocate for that voice.
A baby is a gift from God. There's no reason to kill a little unborn child.
If you think you can't handle it or you're too young, you can have the baby and leave it and tell the hospital you can't keep it. They'll find it, they'll get it to foster care and they'll get it help. Or if you don't have the money, though, there's all kinds of programs out there now that help you take care of people. Yeah, like
food stamps. There's everything like possible now to be able to have this baby and to be able to support this baby, not that you have to kill it.
There's a law that you can drop it off at a hospital, you drop it off at the fire station, and they'll take it in and there's no questions asked.
One of my friends, who I used to be very close with, was pregnant and had an abortion because her mother made her have the abortion because she was still in school and she didn't know what was going to go on. And she was ready to graduate, and she was afraid that she wasn't going to be able to walk down the aisle 7 months pregnant. They weren't going to let her get her diploma. So I went with her, and I saw the look on her face when she came out. She was like horrified because she knew what she did was wrong. It's been 1.5 years since it happened, but she still regrets it till this day.
This year, my mother had an abortion in 2014, so it's even more of an experience in wanting to go to represent the fact that I have lost a little sibling. The doctor told her 6 months in that the baby was gonna have, I forget what the disease it was gonna have, but it was like the baby's limbs were gonna be like, you know how we bend one way, it was gonna bend the opposite direction, and she wasn't gonna last very long, they said. So my mother decided to have the abortion because she can't take care of herself, let alone a disabled baby. And I didn't find out until I was taking a surprise trip to Philly, and I asked her where she was. She said she was in the hospital, that she had just had the abortion. She's in depression now about it. Like, she didn't want to do it, but she felt like she had no other option because she can barely take care of herself and can't take care of a baby now. Like, a baby that was gonna have so many problems. I honestly think she should have gave it a chance, and you never know what God's plan was.
You see the signs and you see the photos, and then you think of your nieces and your nephews and your cousins, and you're thinking to yourself, like, what would life be like without them? My first March for Life was when I was a freshman in college at Franciscan University of Steubenville. I came here as a college kid, and then I came here as a news reporter, and now I'm here on the other side of doing the press in the public relations for it. And maybe they look younger because I'm older now, you know. Maybe they were always this young, and I kind of identified as that. But to see them here now and to see how young they are, these are the next generation of voters. Don't be apathetic. Continue. Like, prayer is so important, but don't stop advocating for the unborn.
And I'm Taylor Gregg. Catherine Lopez, National Review Institute, and Catholic Voices.
Kenny Woodzinowski.
Mia Lynn.
Vincent Leviathan, the Director of External Affairs.
Sister Angeles.
Good Shepherd Life Team!
Thank you, JBT.
Myself and as 2 young children, when you see going through with your wife on a sonogram for the first time and hear the heartbeat, it directly affects you and affects, the importance of life.
We're here to support life, not to bash anybody, not to put anybody down, but to stand up that many people do believe in life, and that we're here to support that, to help overturn the rule about it.
I had a brother with special needs growing up, and had my brother not been given the chance to be born, my life would have been dramatically different, because my brother taught me so much about compassion and about caring for those who weren't perfect. And I mean, none of us are perfect.
It's a great feeling being here today to see people, young, old, babies out here representing the fact that it's not right to abort human living thing. Just because it's not born yet and it's not breathing, it's still human. And it feels good to see that there's not just me out here, it's 6,000 other people out here for more.
Before the age of 19.
It's a good feeling. I will be back next year.
The self-hatred
very,
and
very
shame,
proud to be out here today, just to see everybody
and the
here.
sorrow became so great that in one dark night of desperation, I tried to take my own life.
It feels awesome. This is my
There
first
in
one,
that
and I
desperate
definitely am going to come back next year.
It feels like a dream to be here today, looking at all these people around, and they all share the same common goal to get rid of abortion.
So I feel really good to be here today. I'm glad that I'm not the only one who feels passionately about abortion. So I'm glad I came today.
It's ironic because we were driving around D.C. and I kept saying to people, where are the people? I can't believe there's hundreds of thousands of people here, and we saw no one. Of course, we realized we were going the wrong way. And I knew there was, and then all of a sudden we just hit the people. And it's amazing and awesome and wonderful to see so many people that realize how precious life is and what being pro-choice for non-abortion is important.
Lots of the people are not Catholic, which is a little more surprising than usual. They're from colleges and high school students, which I think is very nice for them to take off the time from school to come march for something.
I'm just struck by the numbers of people. Every year I'm inspired by the youth, but the energy this year is just amazing. Everywhere I turn, I know I've for the last 24 hours or so, I knew I was in the right place because I'd see somebody with just this joyful face. And that's what you see. What is a grave anniversary is also tremendously hopeful. I was particularly struck by, I was at the youth rally of Mass at the Verizon Center this morning. And I mean, I've never seen kids pray like that. And they're praying the rosary and they're praying the Mass, and it's really a beautiful thing, and I think it's inspirational for them. And I just keep thanking the kids for coming, because the old people, people who've been working in the movement for years are just so inspired every time we come here and see all of these youthful faces.
I don't think whenever I had heard that it was hundreds of thousands of people came down here to march, but I really believed it. It was more or less like, oh, okay. And then you come here and you look around and you're like, oh my goodness, these people have come from all over. They've given up their time, they've given up their day, they've given up, whatever they had going on to be here to make a stand. And really, we can talk about it as much as we want, but this is an incredible opportunity to showcase faith in action, prayer in action, that we're all here together experiencing this.
It's not just women that's down here, also men. And they won't experience the same thing as women does, but I'm glad that they're supporting this. And it's a very moving and touching moment when all these people are trying to save those unborn children that never got the chance to be born. And I really think that it should also be considered to do in other countries other than America. Like India, it happens a lot. China also. So that's something I think it should be worldwide. March for Life.
I think that everybody should come here at least once.
I'll come back when I get the chance to.
Yeah. The more kids, the better. So if your parents wondering if you should send kids, please do. I mean, it's a beautiful event. The cops were great protecting people. So yeah, no, I definitely come if you can.
We came with our school because we go to Charlotte Christian, and it's just something that they support. It's just something that we support, so we decided to come.
I just hope that we get to see how many people fight for this cause, because I think it's really important.
And save the babies.
So we just finished the March for Life, and we're in the basement of the Basilica of the Immaculate Conception. And we come here to pray and hopefully spread the word when we go back home to, say, hey, let's get beyond our political differences and just look at the foundation of life, and we got to do everything possible to save babies and make people realize their lives mean more than, inconvenience or money. It's life, which is, without it, we have no church, we have no society.
I go home feeling hopeful, and I can't wait to share what we saw with the kids and bring the message back. Well, we're going to do it. We're going to start with our youth center. We're actually starting Tuesday night. We've got a whole program all worked out of how we're going to go back and we're going to share what we experienced, and we're going to give them opportunity to interact with one another and think about it if they haven't thought about it, and tell them, show them videos, and just share what our experiences, and hopefully to motivate them that God forbid they should ever get in that position, or that there is a better way. There's another answer, and hopefully it'll work.
Today, well, I guess maybe we got in with the wrong group, but it was a little more quiet than usual. Usually everyone's screaming and hollering and chanting. I guess we got in with the little older people than we are, and all they want to do is pray, so it's a lot more quiet and peaceful. Other than that, it's still amazing. I just love going to things like this.
It was just amazing to see how many people came out.
Each year, I think more and more come out. From all ages, from babies to adults to old people.
You got to come to do it to get it. I mean, to say, oh yeah, hundreds of thousands of people are marching, but so many young people, so much hope. It was almost like a prayerful walk, even though there was singing and prayers. And it just hits you really hard at the fact that so many people don't want to be silent anymore, yet it seems like society almost ignores the fact that this is still happening in America in this year, that babies are still being killed, and it's still considered a choice. And it's sad to me, but I have hope. I have hope because there's so many young people that get it, that say, yeah, common sense says we need to protect these kids. There's got to be a better choice than this.
I'm feeling inspired. Like Ken said, there are so many young people walking, so it gives us hope for the future. But as we stood at the steps of the courthouse and we heard those stories, at one point I just broke down and cried, because these women and these men were regretting what they had done and naming their children. When I heard them naming their children, it just broke my heart.
Dear John Michael, George Stephen, and Mary, even though I never had a chance to introduce myself,
but it just put another a realm of reality of how much this is murder, and that it's not something that should be acceptable in today's day and age.
We're looking at all these names of foundations of families, and even the more important issue here is, abortion is destroying families, destroying lives. Not recognizing life starts at conception, and we're sitting here in this church, and it's just, to me, surreal that literally until we get this thing right, our families are falling apart, our society's falling apart. What struck me the most today was literally watching kids with their families watching the walk, and it sort of hit me like they're watching, and are they processing like we're marching to protect their lives, And it's almost like, is that really what our society, it's that sad that we got to fight about life, where it should be a given that we should protect it in every possibility. So hopefully someday there won't be a march, because there won't be any more abortions.
This generation is often accused of being apathetic, but on January 22nd, 2015, young people from across the Brooklyn Diocese and across the nation came out in droves to share their stories and to fight for a better future. Bystanders may have called them anything from inspiring, devoted, and principled kids to zealots determined to destroy women's rights. They may have called them passionate or crazy or maybe even active, but they certainly couldn't call them apathetic.